スタジオ3万
The last video I seen that included a frog was when a monkey tried to have sex with it.
Was he going, sheesh?
I don't think he was. I think he was going, woo, woo. Hey up, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd OD podcast with your fabulous host, Reg.
Hey up.
Hey up.
Hey up. Hey up, pet.
It's summertime, so I'm being all down with the kids and the whatnot.
I am pretty certain the kids do not. Excuse me. That was not me farting. That was a motorbike going past my house. That is not something the kids say. The kids all say like yeet and scree. I was sat in the cinema watching a film, which I'll talk about later, and it was a kids film. So there were, and obviously kids are off school now, so there's a few kids in there. And before it started, one of them just goes scree, and then another one goes scree, and then all of the kids in there go scree, scree, scree. Like, what's scree? Why are kids? I'm sure it was scree. I'm just going to Google it, but I'm sure
I was literally about to Google scree and be like, what the
scree meme? I'm sure it's scree.
It's a mass of small loose stones that form off of
yeah. Maybe it's not scree. I don't know. It's something like that. She. Maybe it's she. She.
How?
Meme. She. Yeah, is that it? There's a TikTok sheesh meme compilation. See, do you know what's even worse? When you're too old for certain memes and certain trends, and then you try and say them and you get them wrong. That really shows that you're just old, right?
Unfortunately, I think we are, mate.
Yeah.
Brutal times.
Yeah, it is. Sheesh. Hold on. I'm gonna play it on something because the sound from my computer is coming through my headphones, so you couldn't hear that, but I could hear people going sheesh, sheesh. Right, sheesh.
Right.
I'm guessing that people who listen to this are probably around about our age, I'd imagine, and maybe, sort of later 20s and 30s. Might have some younger. And if those younger ones are sat at home going, God, I can't believe he thought it was scree. It's so sheesh, oh, idiot. So maybe this isn't interesting to them because they've seen it all and heard it all, but we haven't.
And this is when like all the unsubscribes start flying in. I'm like, oh no, we can get them back. We just need Sean to do a few TikToks.
Exactly.
Like if he was on it now, on the rare occasion he turns up.
He'd be like, oh yeah, of course, yeah.
He'd be like, oh yeah, it's this. I did a G video the other day.
I'm down with the talk.
Of course you did, mate. Of course you did.
No, I don't know either. There's a meme encyclopedia, isn't there, that tells you meme origins? Yeah. Know your meme, that's it. Know your meme. Sheesh or sheesh, so with an extra with 3 E's, is a popular slang term and an alternative to geez or damn, used to express surprise or disbelief about something. But no one's using it.
The correct way.
Oh, okay. This makes perfect sense now. The term's existed since the 1950s. I get that, sheesh. Yeah, sheesh. But it was popularized to a degree by NBA player LeBron James.
There you go.
Popular sound on TikTok in the early 2021. So just to
now we know what film you went to see.
Exactly. But I'll talk about that later. I can't imagine that kids in the UK are up on their history of LeBron James, and I bet most of them were like, I have no idea who this guy is, let alone associating him with Sheesh.
True that.
Yeah, rapper Young Thug has used sheesh as a term of admiration in songs as early as 2015, notably on the track Check, released that year. I got me a check. Yeah, I done got me a check. I got a check. Sheesh. Yeah, I done got me a check. I got a check. Sheesh. That's the lyrics, apparently. And in 2017, he used the word sheesh and hashtag sheesh in his social media posts.
Wow.
So no, that's definitely that. I'm not associating Sheesh, the use of sheesh with that guy, with LeBron James, I'm pretty sure that was coincidence.
I don't know, because if it was going through with what you went to see, that does make perfect sense. And if he's one of those viral TikTok people now as well, then
no. Here we go. The most recent, because that was 2017. On February 14th, 2021, TikToker Meet Julio posted a video of a frog sitting on a table as a number of people off screen yell "Sheesh," garnering over 1.9 million views in just over a month.
Right.
Yeah, it's a frog, and lots of people, and that's literally what it is.
Okay. Interesting.
Get the sounds. I don't get why.
I mean, the last video I seen that included a frog was when a monkey tried to have sex with it.
Was he going "Sheesh"?
I don't think he was. I think he was going "woo, woo," and that was just a frog.
On April 29th, music critic and YouTuber Anthony Fontano posted a video in which it's edited to appear as if he says "sheesh" for over an hour and a half, garnering 500,000 views in just under 2 months. It's not that impressive. I mean, it's more than we've got, but still.
Just a bit weird. It
was edited together. It's not like when Watsky freestyle rapped for 40 hours or whatever the heck it was.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So that's it. It's some sort of TikTok thing. Back in my day. So, how are you, Reg?
I am good, sir.
Cool.
I am very good.
Doing anything to enjoy this? The single heat wave that we're allowed once a year, because winter starts next week.
Thank Christ for that.
That's we've just had such an old man reaction. Now we're having such a British person reaction to the weather. Like, everyone complains when it's too cold, and then as soon as it gets hot, it's just like, oh, I just want it to be over. I just want it to be cold again.
But the thing is, I've always stated that I'm a winter baby. Yeah. Like the sun never really bothers me, because I used to be inside playing games all the time, so I never used to really see the sun.
Okay.
Now it's nice that I've got Oliver, and we can take him the zoo and do stuff like that with him when it's really nice and hot. And he gets to enjoy it, and Ash gets out and about, which is great. But the only place I've ever really enjoyed the sun is Florida, because they have aircon everywhere.
This is it. I went to Alton Towers on Sunday, okay, and it was roasting. It was pretty accurate Alan Partridge quote here, but it was hotter than the sun, or actually hot as the sun, to be more accurate. But it was roasting, and you're standing in queues for an hour at a time. Surprisingly, no queues longer than an hour, which on a weekend, at the middle of July, I'm surprised. But either way, we had a good day. Got on everything we wanted to. Lots of fun was had, but it was really hot. And I was thinking, how this isn't quite as hot. It was like 28 degrees. Florida is 28 degrees is a warm day. 30, 32. That's your sort of your hot days, really, isn't it? But you got no problem just standing around in queues and walking around, and I don't ever remember feeling as lethargic and this is so hot when I'm in Florida. And that's what it is. It's the queues they have fans with water vapor sprays underneath them, so it squirts the water vapor up into the fan, and the fan blows it on the people queuing, and you just stood there and you're like, this is the most comfortable I've ever felt in my life.
The good life.
Oh, it's amazing. But yeah, you just don't care. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
but it's just because Florida's built for it. Britain is not. We get an inch of snow, schools closed, work's cancelled. Don't go out driving because you won't get 5 feet. Oh, that hill there, that goes up a 1 in 200 hill climb, and I'm not going to make it with these tires. Yeah, you go to Alaska or something, everyone's like, 6 foot of snow. Yeah, that's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same sort of thing. We're just not built. We're built for the wet, the cold, the occasional bit of sun. But as soon as you go above 25 degrees, the country's just I can't deal with this.
No, in fact, I fell down the rabbit hole again of searching for your imaginary holidays.
Cover that up, Reg.
I can't help it. It's just it's one of those that I think I'm out of it, and then the next minute, I walk out away from my desk for 2 minutes, and it's back there again. Oh. It's frustrating. But I was chatting to who was I chatting to? Oh, Mike in work, because the adverts for like the 50th anniversary are everywhere now for Disney World, and Oliver's got stupidly massively back into his Toy Story stuff. Okay. Like he's obsessed with Ham at the minute. That's his new thing. He loves the Ham the pig from Toy Story. Because he was originally just going like ham, and I was like, do you want some ham? He's like, yeah. So I get him some ham, and he was like, no, ham, and I'm like, I'm really confused with what he wants. And then he started bringing over like Woody and Buzz, and he was like, ham. And I'm like, oh, we don't have ham. And he was like, So eventually we caved, and we were like, right, let's do the run around, because the Disney shops are now shut by us. Right. So we were like, right, we'll go quickly to the Disney shop and just see if they've got it before it closes. They didn't have any ham in at all. So we did a hunt around, and the only thing we could find is in the Entertainer toy shop, Evil Dr. Pork Chop, like a little like piggy bank thing. So it's like a plastic one, but for him, he's just like, it's ham. I'm like, brilliant, because the one you really wanted that talked was like 35 quid, and this is like $4.99 because it's just a little cheap plastic pig that's got a hat on. So it's like perfect, and he's obsessed with it. He loves it. But he's now started taking the pictures of me and Ash at Toy Story at Disney World, where we meet like Buzz and Woody, over to the toys to be like, look, my mum and dad have met you. Like, this is amazing. And he was like showing Forky and like.
Why is he not reacting, Dad? He's not reacting. He's acting like he's never met you before. Something fishy's going on here.
I think what he's trying to do is he's watched Toy Story that many times that he knows the toys come to life. That he's just going to the toys. Look, mum and dad have met you. I'd do photos they can talk to you.
Yeah, you don't.
You're all right to come to life now. You don't have to like just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Because the amount of things that he does now to like, Elf on the Shelf. And all that, where like the naughty elf goes, hides, and does all the random things at Christmas. Like you'll find Woody will be like, last time I walked in the living room, Woody was by the ice cream cart that we've got, just having an ice cream. And then you walk around and he's doing stuff, and it's not Ash, it's Oliver. Oliver's just going around doing like, oh yeah, Woody would love to do this, and yeah, let's do that. And he's laughing to himself, and we come in and he's like, look where Woody is. I'm like, oh, is Woody having an ice cream? And he's like, yeah. And like he's loving it, and I was like, I'd just love to see his face.
Speaking of ice cream, and two of your favourite places. So, have you heard about Disney World and Disneyland? Dole Whip is this really big deal. It's this.
You had International Dole Whip Day for the first day ever 2 days ago in Florida.
Well, there you go. Okay, then the fact that you haven't just butted in and said, "Oh yeah," and this means you don't know yet.
I've had it a couple of times at Chester Zoo.
All right, you've had it at Chester Zoo. Apparently, it's one of the only places you can have it in the UK.
It is.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. So, all right, never mind. Yeah, but if you're a big Disneyland fan, come to Chester.
Come to Chester and go to the zoo. If you're there on a Saturday or a Sunday, there's a 99.9% chance you'll see me walking around with Oliver on my shoulders eating ice cream.
Nice.
Because that's all apparently we go to the zoo for, not to look at the animals, just to eat ice cream and play in the sand pits. So, happy days. But yeah, I fell down the rabbit hole of like knowing full well we're not taking over for like another 10 years. But I was like, I wonder how much it would be. So I started pricing it up, and I was chatting to Mike in work, and he was like, yeah, it's pricing it up in April for me and the wife to go because it's a birthday. So we're just like, we're wondering how much it'd be, and it's like $7,500 for the two of us for like 2 weeks for Disney tickets, and then for 3 days, like a week in Universal. And I was like, that seems very excessive. Let's have a look.
Absolutely.
So I went and had a look, and I was like, right, see, I can get it for just under the $4,500, but that's not staying on Disney site. That's literally staying in the Enclave suite, which is where we've all stayed. So it's like that. Location wise, brilliant. You can get a hire car, everything thrown in with that. You would have to pay for parking at Disney, but let's have a look, see which we can get the cheapest Disney hotel at. And you can do Pop Century in Disney World, and it's literally cheaper than the Enclave suites. for doing it. And I was like, oh, you could literally stay on Disney property and then do that, and then maybe do what we did and just spend like a couple of nights out of Disney and just do the Enclave or do somewhere like that, do these prices. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, but then if you do it the week before the one I looked at, which is when we went, like the 21st of April, it's like when you look at that and you look at the difference, like the week before, it goes up to like $9,000. And then like
it is very, very seasonal.
We go, it's insane. So I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then I was chatting to my boss later on in the day about work stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, you've done really well this month. We've got this many people in, this many people in. And he was like, and for the next like 2 months, mate, with the inductions you've got planned in, he was like, you're going to have like a very, very, very nice year. And I was like, really? And when I scoped it up, I was like, gonna go Florida. So I was just like, I could literally, when it hits like September, I could book Florida. And I'm like, oh, I could do that. I won't, but I could. And then it got me thinking back to in like 2 years' time, Oliver will be content enough to stay at Ash's mum's for the week, and we will do it for my birthday. And I'm now back on that trail of,
good.
Let's see if I can convince the wife to
go, and that's an excuse for me to go.
So I can't. I just really, really want it. Yeah. So that's the plan. And there's so many things that are opening up and opened up again. And now it's weird, like watching all the vids and stuff has just made me go like, yeah, it's like literally life is back to normal there. It's crazy considering the US like highest COVID rate.
It is, but I don't.
Everyone's so packed in like sardines.
I didn't want to really talk about this, but like it's ridiculous. Like people are walking around like the vaccine means you can't get it. That is not what it means. It means that if you get it, then it's far, far, far less damaging and less serious. So that's why, most of our country, I think, are we higher than the States? I think we're pretty high up on vaccine.
Yeah.
Yet our numbers are rocketing. So we just had, this is Tuesday, and this is the day after, as British people will know, the day after Freedom Day.
Oh, God.
Which is the most ridiculous thing ever, because you don't have to do anything anymore. You don't have to distance. You don't have to wear masks. Just keep wearing them. It's not, because you look at the numbers. We're about 3/4 of what we were back in March when it was terrible.
Yeah.
Granted, people. So out of our little group, I know Sean doesn't mind me saying, but Sean recently had COVID. No fault of his own, really. It's just one of those things. He had the flu for a little bit and he was over it because he's vaccinated, so it didn't really affect him that badly. But the States, the same thing's going to happen. It's going to be exactly the same. Like, we want to go abroad. We've got all these grand plans for holidays and stuff. We want to get married and have a honeymoon and stuff. Yet we know that anything like that, it's just the numbers are going to jump up again. If we book anything like Sean did, we're going to have to cancel it. So it's, I don't know.
See, like, I'm in complete agreement, but at the same time, if someone said to me tomorrow there's a ticket, I'm like, see ya. Like, I would be in Universal in a drop of a hat, especially now seeing.
Can we? I don't know. I didn't even know that we could. I'm unsure whether America are letting us in.
We can't yet, but what I'm saying is, for an example's sake, obviously everything's stupidly high, but I would genuinely be like, right, I would wear a mask the entire time, but I would be over there, like, in a heartbeat, just to be there again. And I know that's what a lot of people are, and that's why we're still in the situation at the minute, because people are going to find a way to get there and then just come back and bring it back again. It's crazy, but at the same time, I sort of get it.
End of the day, it's probably going to be no worse than being here.
True that.
I'm just because we're 2 days into this lockdown and restrictions and everything is over. I mean, you're in Wales, so
yeah, I still have to wear masks and distance and all that jazz, which is what I would be doing anyway, because I still would want to.
It doesn't bother me. I don't feel like it's taking away my freedoms having to wear a mask. Yeah, it's uncomfortable sometimes, but I just deal with it because I would rather be able to do things, and I worry about giving it to other people. So, I don't know. I didn't want to rant about this, but I knew it was probably going to happen.
Then we'll change the conversation, because this week
is
also Barenaked Week. Because,
Is it?
Well, it was Friday they released it, but
I mean, it is that
so
hot that I was sat at home in my boxer shorts yesterday. So, is that what you're getting at?
Nice. I had a meeting yesterday where I wore shirt and tie and shorts underneath it, so that no one would actually know.
On like Zoom or whatever.
Yeah,
Yep.
It felt so weird, but at the same time, I was like, "Yep." But yeah, so on Friday, Barenaked Ladies released "The Tour de Force,"
Oh
which
yeah,
is their
they have a new album.
16th studio album,
Wow.
and it's good.
Yeah.
It's very, very much a grower.
Okay, good. Because
So-
you text me saying, "Yeah, it's out. Yeah, it's all right."
Yeah, and it was just sort of because it's you always expect from the ladies they'll have certain things. They'll always have a banger on there, like a classic bang. But you'll always have like "You Pinch Me," "Your One Week," those sorts of songs. Every album has a guaranteed like upbeat, that's cracking on with it. And then you've got a couple of tracks which try and meet that sort of level, but don't get to that sort of peak.
Okay.
And then you've also got like the Kevin Hearn songs, the Jim songs, and then you've got a couple of like really heartfelt, touchy songs. And usually, since Steve's gone, a song about Steve in a roundabout way. This one has Flip, which is the standout. Like, hey, this is a really loud one. And then they've gone really weird. It's like the first couple of tunes are all like quite upbeat and jammy, and then the second half of the album's really low beat apart from the last song. So you've got a load of Kevin Hearn and Jim songs on there as well.
How many tracks are on this album?
14 tracks.
Okay. See, this is a problem. So, I know a lot of people, but we do have some Barenaked Ladies fans who listen to us because of the Barenaked Ladies content we've put out. Some of their songs I like, but primarily my love of Barenaked Ladies is Ed and Steve songs. You know, and just the odd like, oh look, it's a Jim song. Oh look, it's a Kev song. But now it's almost like half the album. There tends to be like 3 or 4 tracks that are not Ed, and they're never quite as good as the Ed songs. So it puts me off a little bit. It always means that an album is never quite as good as it can be. So at least if there's 14 songs, if there's 3 or 4 that are Jim or Kev or anything like that, at least you've still got 10 songs which hopefully are decent Ed songs. Yeah,
and it's took a really weird turn, and I don't know if it's just because of isolation and COVID has made Ed go a bit like crazy in it. But there's a lot of like random, like one of the songs is called what's it got, Flat Earth. And it's basically just about him saying that people are idiots and don't believe in flat Earth. And I'm like, right, okay, that's a random one. And then there's another one which is called God Forbid, where he's just like, I don't believe in God, but I usually use the phrase God forbid, but yeah, don't believe in God, don't believe he's there. And like, there's no, and I'm like, right, okay, so you're having a pop at loads of different bits, which is not what the ladies are about. It's always about the inclusion of everything. No, they'll always have like a couple of
joke about it, but
bits, but these are genuine, like serious ones. And then one of the other songs is it's called, I think it's Good Life, I think it is, where all it is basically just going, we could have a bad life where we sit in an office all day or do generic work, but we're rock stars. And all these people, like he basically goes through the band and just says like what's good about their life, and I'm like, right, okay, so you don't need to rub that in either. So I'm like, it's a really weird eclectic mix. And then you've got obviously the Kevin songs, which one I really don't mind. It's called The National Park, and it's quite a nice tune, but his other ones are not great. Big Backyard is awful, and Bylaw is probably the worst Barenaked Lady song I've ever heard.
Oh, okay.
It's just
we have strong feelings about Kevin Hearn songs. It's just
FYI. But then the end and the last song is called Internal Dynamo, and it's such a bizarre song. It goes through like 3 or 4 different styles, a song, and it's definitely, the minute it started, I was like, this is a song they're going to leave on the last, when you play live,
Right?
This where like Ed jumps on the drums and Tyler's out front. It's that song. Like, when it starts, you're like, yep, this is the last encore tune. This is the one they're going to play, and it's weird. It's a mix between like a B&L song, a Beastie Boys song, and it's just an eclectic, like, let's put stuff in a blender and see what happens. But you can definitely get Beastie Boys vibes from it.
All right, awesome.
It's really, really bizarre the way it's done, but it's good. But it's a very, very bizarre mix of songs. Like, nice. When I first heard it, I was like, right, I've heard it now. I'm all right. Much prefer the others, apart from All in Good Time, obviously. But yeah, the more I'm listening to it, the more I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's not quite up there at the minute with like Grinning Streak or Fake Nudes or Silver Ball, but it's getting there. So I think another couple of listens and I'll be good with it. Cause like I really like New Disaster. I think that's one of the better post Steve songs, and the same with Flip. I really like Flip. It's just a really catchy, easy song to have on, and people go, oh, that's good. I'm like, yeah, that's better.
Well, I found that was Silver Ball the last album.
Fake Nudes.
Fake Nudes. I don't think I've got that one.
That's probably one of my favourite Barenaked Ladies albums. Yeah. I really like Fake Nudes. I think it's really underrated, especially in the B&L fan base. For some reason, everyone, I don't know if it's just because of the title, where like everyone's like, oh, Fake Nudes, I'd rather go with Trump and stuff, and it just really diversed the opinion of it. But they've got some really, really good songs on that. Yeah, like, quite a few of my favourites.
I mean, there's no reason why I haven't listened to it. I've just not got around to it, or I just don't own it, and I don't have Spotify or anything like that. But I think generally, to me, when I can tell that a song is genuinely good, I mean, I can enjoy plenty of their music, but when I'll put a song on and someone who doesn't know them or isn't a fan clearly is sort of perked up and is nodding along to it, and there's a good few songs on that album in particular, like Odds Are and Boomerang and stuff. Yes, on Green Streak, things like that. They really stand out as being like these are modern Barenaked Ladies classics.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, which is something that's been a bit sort of hard to come by over the last few years. Like I say, none of their albums have been like, I can't listen to an entire album like I could the older ones. Like when I would make a playlist of Barenaked Ladies stuff, I pretty much put in the entirety of Maroon and the entirety of Stunt and whatnot on. But I can't do that with the most recent albums. It's still like pick and choose. And the songs I like, they're great. I love them. But the songs I'm not fussed on, it's tough to listen to sometimes. But they're one of the acts that they were supposed to be touring last year sometime. Was it March? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
And then
March.
that got postponed until October this year, I think. That's right.
Well, it went to June and then went to October.
Yeah, and now it's been pushed again until next year.
3rd of March is when we go.
Right.
Well, when I go anyway, depends on if you want to come or not yet.
So. Oh, no, definitely coming. Definitely coming. I need to introduce Shell to the live experience, because regardless of what you might think of their their albums, you have to see them live. They are a phenomenal live band.
They are the greatest live band that has graced our presence.
Fair enough.
That is by like, despite some of my moments now where I'm like, they're a shadow of the former selves when you hear certain stuff live, just no matter how much you're like, yeah, I'm not into them anymore, you will literally come out of that smiling your head off. Yeah, just the greatest live act.
Exactly, because it's not, I mean, half of it isn't even them singing their own songs.
No,
it's in between. It's when they're just making up songs on the spot. So even if you've never heard any of their stuff past 1 week, and if I had $1 million, they're going to play them and you're going to love it. But the rest of the stuff, it just the atmosphere and the experience of it's great. So I would highly recommend that. But yeah, I think it's the first of many. I mean, to me, this kind of winds back to you talking about going to book in Florida, there's musical acts that are starting to now, everyone was that confident. Now they're all starting to cancel their tours because traveling from America to the UK isn't a great idea. Like, I've got a gig in September, I think, for a Japanese band, and they still haven't postponed or cancelled it, and it's not going to happen. There's no way it's going to happen. But we're like, they're holding the Olympics without any people, like in Japan. So how they think that they can send musical acts over to the UK and then let them come back? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a European tour, so they've got to travel through all sorts of different countries. It's not going to happen. And I wish they would just postpone it or cancel it so then people can get their money back. But at the minute, it's just sat there going, right, okay, I'm going to have to book a hotel at some point, but I don't want to yet.
It is. It's unfortunate, isn't it? Because I was like, you know what? Seeing as there's like festivals and stuff going ahead over here, I'm like, yeah, we'll definitely have it. So I started getting a little bit excited about it, and then I was like, got that literally. In fact, I seen it on one of the Facebook pages first that came through, and then I was like, oh, I haven't had an email about that, and then literally 2 minutes later, the email popped through going, hey, guess what, guys? I was like, oh, right, okay, cool. Yeah. So that's the 23rd of March now.
Yeah, I got a notification about they're playing a big gig at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah,
with like Katie Tunstall and stuff, and that's sort of the big one of the tour, the big headliner of the tour. And I got a notification through an app that updates me on gigs and stuff that was being postponed, but none of the other dates had changed yet. So I was like, yeah, it's a matter of time. I'll get a text off Reg at some point, and then I think the next morning, like. You text me going, first of all, albums, second of all, tour's been postponed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yes, it has.
Just like to keep you updated.
Oh, I know. Thank you. I know. Exactly. So I was saying before that I went to Alton Towers.
Yes.
Two things that I just want to briefly talk about. One, we camped nearby and stayed on Saturday and then went to the park on Sunday. And we had went for a big long walk through this forest on Saturday, and stopped at this little pub called the Ramblers Retreat, which is, I mean, it's close enough to Alton Towers that you can hear people screaming. So it's maybe, like I think about a mile away roughly. And we were sat there, and I went to look at the map to see exactly where we were, see how far away and stuff. And I saw on the map, on Google Maps, a place of interest, and it said Chained Oak, which, if you've ever been to Alton Towers and you've been on a ride which is in the towers called Hex, which is basically, I mean, it's a furious battle of science versus the supernatural. There's no two ways to describe it, really, is there, Ed? That's the ideal way. Basically, they've taken this story, this fable about the Earl of Shrewsbury, who lived in the towers. He was riding home one night, and this old beggar woman appeared and asked him for some money, and he went, "No, get out of my sight, you ugly old wench." So, and as he rode off, she turned around and turned out he was a witch, and she cursed him and said, "For every branch of the old oak tree that falls, a member of your family will die." You can tell I've been on this ride far too many times, because that's almost a verbatim quote from the video. Anyway, Then the following night, a branch mysteriously got struck by lightning, fell to the ground, and one of his family died. So he got paranoid and went, "Oh, this curse must be real," and he chained up the branches of the tree. But that's where the actual supposed fable ends. I don't know how true that fable is, and whether that is just Alton Towers made it up, because they definitely made up the next bit, which is that the Earl of Shrewsbury dragged the fallen branch back to the castle and locked himself in this laboratory and worked at it night and day to try and banish the curse. And the idea is that you go into a room, which is the lab, and the big branches in the middle, and you sit down on these benches, and then they turn on the machine that's supposed to get rid of the curse, and things happen. The room looks like it goes upside down but doesn't. It's just the worst ride you will ever go on, unless you're going on with someone else who doesn't know what's going on, and then watching them is far more entertaining than watching what's happening on the ride, because they are so confused. It's amazing. Anyway, the point is, this ride is, what is it, 15 years old now, maybe?
Wow.
It's got to be close to that, right? Because we used to go years and years and years ago.
Yeah, religiously, yeah.
I remember that ride was a bit of a running joke with us, and we'd go on about the stick. Every time we'd see a stick, we'd be like, "Oh no, the stick! It's coming after us!" And we really wanted to go and see the actual chained oak, because it is real, but we could never really find it. There's a B&B nearby called the Chained Oak, and we thought it must be down there, and I think it is pretty close. But we drove down there, and we just didn't want to use their car parks. We were like, never mind, we'll find it one day. But 15 years later, without even trying, I look at a map and I'm like, we're literally about 5 minutes from the Chained Oak. So we finished our drinks and whatnot, had an ice cream, and then I was like, right, we're just going to go a bit off the route for a little bit. And Shell's like, oh, all right, this walk isn't long enough already. And like, no, but it's worth it. And we walked up, and we get to this tree, and she's like, why is that tree chained up? And I'm like, I can't believe you haven't worked it out yet. And I explained what it was, and she's like, that's actually the Chained Oak. So we actually found and saw the real Chained Oak, and it's just so bizarre to see.
That's amazing.
Like, I'd heard it had been vandalized loads, and there was barely any of it left, but there's a lot of it still has chains, and it's so old that the tree has grown around the chains now, so the branches, the chains actually go through the branches. It's amazing. It was such a cool. If you've got no interest in Alton Towers, it's probably not in remotely amazing. It's like, that's a bit weird that there's a tree with chains, but seeing it, I was like, this is actually a really awesome thing to see. This is something ticked off my very low down on my bucket list. But somewhere on my bucket list was, see the tree from Hex. So yeah, that's what we did. That was fun. So shall I briefly talk about going to see the abomination of Space Jam?
You shall, because then I'll regale you about my new reservation that I've just put down to purchase something.
Reservation on a Steam Deck. I
will regale you the tale once you tell me about Space Jam.
I wonder if you have. Interesting. It's. I mean, this film is one in a long line of films where they're like, let's take a film that was really popular in the late, 80s, 90s, whatever, and kind of reboot it, but not. It's like in the same world. We'll reference the old one. Stuff like Jumanji, right? Which, when that trailer came out, I think we all went, this looks terrible. Like, why are they doing this? They're killing our childhood. But did you ever see it? Have you seen the Jumanji films? I can't remember your opinion on them.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, good little films, right? It's self-referential enough that the adults can be like, oh yeah, I remember this film and whatnot, but different enough and up to date in that it's not a board game anymore, it's a video game, and they're like sucked inside the video game.
Yeah, and for that reason, it feels like it's a different thing completely. So it's it's by the by, but yeah, I enjoy them. Exactly,
and that worked well. And those, as kids' films, can be enjoyable for adults and whatnot, because there's plenty to enjoy. It's not just it's not just a stupid, pointless story, and it just feels fun. Decent acting in it. This is everything that this Space Jam New Legacy is missing. So, I mean, it's not like Michael Jordan was particularly like an Oscar-winning actor, but something about him was believable, right? And also, if you're making a film and you get someone like Bill Murray involved, you pretty much that you've got a good team making the film. You've got decent writers. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the cast, all these little cameos in it from all these great actors, like I can't remember his name, the guy who plays Newman in Seinfeld and whatnot. That to me said that film had a little bit of legitimacy. This film has one cameo that I noticed.
Really?
And that is I kind of don't want to give it away, but at the same time, this isn't like a Marvel film. This isn't a film that you're like, don't spoil it for me. This is Space Jam: A New Legacy. Do you care?
I don't know.
No, you don't care. And if you care at home, then there's something wrong with you. Skip forward 5 minutes. But basically, there is a scene when they get to the basketball game. The Looney Tunes are obviously losing in the first half. They have this, locker room speech, and then LeBron James decides, no, wait, what we're doing isn't working. Let's do something else. And suddenly they're winning again. But while they're in the locker room, Daffy Duck comes running and he goes, I found him, guys. I found Michael Jordan. He's back. And everyone's like, I can't believe you found Michael Jordan. Brilliant. I was sat there thinking, I feel really bad for Kobe Bryant now. Michael Jordan's going to come in and save the day.
I know who you're going to. I think I know who you're going to bring in.
And there's this silhouetted figure starts walking forward, and then it zooms in on his trainers, and you can see he's wearing Air Jordans, and then it pans up, and then Bugs Bunny goes, "That's not Michael Jordan. That's Michael B. Jordan."
Yeah.
So Michael B. Jordan, who was Killmonger in Black Panther, if you don't know, which, do you know what, probably the best joke in the entire film, because I didn't see it coming. I was like, this isn't going to be Michael Jordan, but I didn't think, I get it, it's Michael B. Jordan. But also, that's probably one of the few jokes that I can't imagine kids are sat there going, it's hilarious, yeah, look, it's that guy.
Yeah.
But at least there's something there for the adults. Who have, the nostalgia factor of like, oh, okay. But Michael Jordan's got nothing to do with it. He's not. That's the only reference to him. Figured just a little cameo would have been good, but no. But the main thing is the twist in the story, in the same way that Jumanji changed the board game to a video game. So Space Jam, they were aliens, right? Because they're from space, right? This has nothing to do with space. This is Warner Brothers have got this supercomputer, right, with the most advanced computer in the entire world, apparently, which has this algorithm who, when they go into the computer, is played by, what's his name, War Machine.
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, yes. So, and he's called LG Rhythm, right? Exactly. Great.
I get it.
Yeah. And he's just obsessed with being the greatest, most intelligent algorithm on the planet. And the idea is that this algorithm comes up with movies that Warner Brothers can make. And there's this scene where he's watching all these clips of LeBron James playing basketball, and he's like, he's the guy, I know, that's who I want in my next film. And then he brings up his little computer screen, and he sends this email, and Sarah Silverman's basically sat there, and she's supposed to be like some Warner Brothers bigwig. She's sat there reading a magazine. She's got a computer open, and right, how many emails do you get a day, Reg?
About 200 to 300.
Right. Okay. So you're probably talking, you get an email. You don't go, oh, an email, do you? Because you get hundreds. You're like, oh, God, another email.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Or you'll just look at it every 10 minutes and see there's another 12 there you've got to read. She sat there reading a magazine, this Warner Brothers studio executive, and suddenly this one email comes through, and she's like, whoa, look, I've got an email. And looks at it, and it's the algorithm, and it says, oh, great, the algorithm's got a new movie for us. Like, this algorithm, it comes up with one movie every what? Like, the way she makes it out, it's like this amazing big deal that, wow, this supercomputer has suddenly come up with a movie for us. And I'm doing what I always do. I'm looking far too much into a movie and finding all these flaws in it, because it's at the end of the day, it's just a stupid movie. But it just, lots of things really annoy me. Okay, so I think two things. One, it felt like this big Warner Brothers sort of propaganda piece, because it is 100% just constant, like, Warner Brothers. Look at all this stuff we own. Look, we've got Harry Potter. Look, we've got Game of Thrones. We've got King Kong. We've got Iron Giant. We've got all the DC stuff constantly. And like, look, we've got this amazing supercomputer in the basement, and it makes the best movies ever. And it's a lot. It's almost like, hey, Disney, look what we can do. And I was trying to think, have Disney ever done this? Why have Disney never done something which is like, look at all the stuff we have all in one movie. And they kind of did with Wreck-It Ralph.
I was about to say, Wreck-It Ralph do it?
Yeah, but it didn't rely on it. It was, a small part of it, wasn't it? It was lots of little cameos, I suppose, of here's all the princesses. It was generally pretty important to the plot. But in this, all it served to do was, like, he had all these characters he could have got to be on his basketball team. Yeah, Bugs Bunny decides to take him to the Game of Thrones world, the Wonder Woman world, Superman, Harry Potter, and at each of these worlds, one of the Looney Tunes characters has joined that land. So Lola Bunny is trying to become an Amazonian, and she's doing, from the have you seen the new Wonder Woman yet?
No, I've got no interest in it, to be honest.
The one good bit in it is the bit it takes off here, and there's this like challenge where all the Amazonians are doing this big long obstacle course and stuff, and she does that, and if she manages to get to the end, she becomes an Amazonian, and stuff like that. You've got like who was it? Maybe I think it was Porky Pig, and Porky Pig and Daffy Duck in Superman. You've got the old woman from Tweety Pie in The Matrix, and it was just, there's about 5 or 6 different films that are like, look, we got these guys, we got these guys, and these guys. Isn't this great? And like, this is about Looney Tunes characters, but okay. And the other thing, there's a free Xbox game that's come out that is, I'm assuming it's based on the game that they basically, LeBron James' kid doesn't like playing basketball. His dad's like, you need to play basketball, and he's like, but I don't like basketball, Dad. Even though you're amazing at basketball, I want to be a video game developer. Look, I've made my own video game, and it's this basketball game he's made. He hates basketball. Yeah, he's made a basketball video game, and that is basically the game that the algorithm takes and makes him play on, essentially, in like virtual reality or whatever. But the very first scene, it shows baby, like LeBron James is like a kid. It goes to play a high school basketball game, and his mate comes up to him and goes, "Here you go, I've got the new color one," and passes him a Game Boy Classic. And he's like, "Oh wow, I've not got one of these." He starts playing on it, and then his coach is like, "Come on, LeBron, we've got to start playing basketball." And after the game, which they lose, spoilers, he goes, you need to get your head in the game. You can't have any of these distractions, none of these video games and things. You are probably one of the greatest I've ever seen, and you could be the best. So if you stop playing video games and concentrate on playing basketball, you'll be amazing, and you'll take care of your family and your friends and everything. So he throws the Game Boy in the bin, and there's this lingering shot of the Game Boy just sat in the bin. And then later on in the movie, it is all like, Microsoft. Look, we're playing this game on an Xbox. Isn't Microsoft amazing?
Oh, wow.
It really, even the point where the kid is playing on a handheld of this game he created. He's sat at the side of the basketball court, and he's playing on this game. It could have been a Switch. Could have quite easily been a Switch. Yet it's not. It's some unbranded, weird PC hybrid thing. And I was just like, well, that's really weird. Literally 2 minutes ago, there was all this Nintendo branding, but you threw it in a bin. Something tells me Microsoft has paid you some money here. It's really bizarre. But anywho, yeah. The kids, like, usually I'll sit watching a film that is like a kid's film or something, and you can hear the entire audience laughing. Everyone's enjoying themselves. The kids, laughing all the jokes. I think I heard them laugh once, and maybe this is just the kids at Birkenhead, who clearly are all into their TikTok meme culture, because, as we said, they were all like, sheesh. They put Big Chungus in the film, which...
Never heard of him.
You don't know Big Chungus? No. Wow. Jeez, gonna have to educate you. Big Chungus is this fat Bugs Bunny.
Right.
If you Google it, and you'll probably have seen a picture of him at some point. But
let's see, what's his name again? Big Chungus.
Big Chungus. Chungus.
Big Chungus.
Yeah, and I think it was from a Bugs Bunny Elmer Fudd cartoon where
hell?
Yeah. And there's lots and lots and lots and lots of memes. It's one of these memes that actually hasn't really gone away, unusually. But yeah, they put Big Chungus in it, And when Big Chungus appeared on screen, about half the kids in the audience were like, it's Big Chungus. I'm like, okay, they know who they're catering to here. Apart from that, I don't even think the kids enjoyed it. I don't know. But the main thing is, you've probably heard everyone saying it's like a Warner Brothers version of Ready Player One, because they at one point when they start to play the basketball game, he goes, "We need an audience," and then suddenly all these Warner Brothers properties from all these different, from all over the serververse, as they call it, 'cause it's all in the computer, all come running in and stand by the side of the court. So all the way through the basketball game, you've got this, 100 deep row of people cheering on, and in the background you'll see like there's Fred Flintstone, and there's King Kong, and there's Batman and Catwoman and Superman, and someone from the Matrix. There's the clown from It, and I spent probably the last 20 minutes of the movie just barely paying attention to what was going on in the game because it was that boring. Being like, who's that? Oh, that's there. Oh, look, the Space Ghost. Oh, that's cool. Oh, look at that. Because it is just, that is the one bit that is like, okay, here we go. Now we're going to cater to the adults and the nostalgia hunters in the audience. And I don't know whether you've heard about it. So there's a couple of people they've put in the audience that are kind of causing a bit of controversy. So, obviously they cut out Pepe Le Pew because he's problematic nowadays because he's a sex pest.
Yeah.
Right? Which they could have just changed his character. I'm sure they could have found a way to change that up, but they didn't. So they took him out, yet they put the Droogs from Clockwork Orange in the audience.
Really?
Yeah, who are far, 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 far worse. And then there's another. I need to find out who this was. Space Jam. None. There we are. So I can't find it. There's a film that was made about 50 years ago. Okay, and I'm gonna try and find out what it was called. It got banned, and it's never been released in its original uncut form, because it was that messed up at the time. Nowadays, I'm sure nothing like it. Where are we? Really need to find out what it was called. Yeah, and basically there's these nuns in it who do all sorts of sick, twisted, sexualized things in the film, and they put them in the background. They're not just, they don't just look like normal nuns. They are clearly the same from this film, and to the point where everyone's like, "We've been begging you for decades to release this film. Like, you've got this locked in your vault somewhere." Yet you go, "Oh, do you know what would be hilarious? We won't release the film. We'll just put the characters in the background of Space Jam."
It's really weird.
So bizarre. Yeah, I really don't understand what some of the. Apparently, there's even oh no, that was it. Apparently, there's a Quentin Tarantino Pulp Fiction reference in the original Space Jam. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, and Rick and Morty are in it.
Obviously.
Yeah. And you know what? Probably the other slightly funny bit, because they basically that was how they introduced Tasmanian Devil. They've got Tasmanian Devil who's doing experiments on him, and they turn up and they're like, "You can take him back. He's a freak." And really fun.
I do like Taz.
And this is ultimate spoiler, but I'm going to tell you because it's just so stupid. Bugs Bunny dies.
What?
Bugs Bunny dies in this film.
But he can't die.
To absolutely spoilers of the end of the film, but to save the day, there's this. If you did this move, they find out early on in the film. If you do this move in the game, it crashes the entire game and deletes your character, because it's the game that this kid has created, and he's like, "Oh man, I lost my character because I did this move." And his dad knows this, so he's like, "The only way we're going to win this basketball game is if we glitch. So I'm going to do this move." And Bugs Bunny and everyone's like, "No, but LeBron, that'll delete your character and you'll die." And he's like, "It doesn't matter. I need to do this because I need to save my son." So he grabs the ball and he's about to do the move. Then Bugs Bunny jumps in, gets the ball, and he's like, "Bugs, no!" And Bugs Bunny does the move, and then suddenly they win the game. But Bugs Bunny is there glitching. You know, like the death scene in Scott Pilgrim of what's it, Gideon, where he's all like glitching out. It's like that. And Lola Bunny's got him, and he's like, don't die, Bugs, don't die. And he's like, it's okay, we won, we saved everyone, it's great. And then he sort of turns into light, and then this light beam shoots out of him up into the sky, and it's like this Jesus moment, and it's just so bizarre. I don't know, I just sat there mystified of what the choice that they made here. They're like, let's kill Bugs Bunny and let's turn him into Jesus.
Wow.
And then, unfortunately, about 3 minutes later, oh no, he's still alive. It's fine.
Oh,
thank
goodness for that.
Yeah, he appears in the real world. LeBron James is taking his son to video game camp so he can go and learn how to program better video games because the basketball one was rubbish. And he waves his kid off and turns around, and there's Bugs Bunny. He's like, Bugs, what are you doing here? Like, why are they in the real world suddenly? Because they were in a computer a minute ago. And he's like, I'm a cartoon character. I can't die. You said I could come and visit anytime, so I brought all the guys. And then the credits is just photos of them all hanging out, like around the pool and going shopping and going to theme parks and stuff and all having fun. It's just it's weird. And now I've told you everything in the film. None of you ever have to see it.
I know I will, though. That's the thing, because it's not just because of my love of, like, you know, the Looney Tunes, because I loved Looney Tunes growing up. Yeah. Like, Space Jam is a fun film. So, you know, the second one, I was like, yeah, not really got a great deal of interest, but if it means me not having to watch Peppa Pig for an hour and a half, I could put something else on.
I get that.
Ideal. So.
It reeks of lack of effort, and they've had so long to do this. Like, they've been talking about making it for like a decade, right? And it's constantly like, it's going to be this basketball player. No, it's not going to be him now. It's going to be this. And, you know, finally, fair enough, they settled on, on LeBron James. But he's not a very good actor. So it's very wooden all the way through the film when he's got to pretty much carry it. And especially when he's doing the voiceover of the cartoon version of himself, it's just really cheesy and just not great. But I don't know. It wasn't fun. Nowhere near as good as Black Widow was, which we probably haven't got time to talk about now, which is still fine. I can't remember whether I covered it last week, but at least Black Widow was good. And Loki's finished now. Have you finished Loki?
Yeah, we finished it Wednesday night.
Yeah, enjoy it?
It took me by surprise how much I genuinely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mainly because I had no interest in it. To be fair, like, I wanted to watch it, but I wasn't like, oh, this is going to be good. I was like, there's no point in this. And then as it started, like, episode 2, I was like, okay, this is getting really good now. And then by episode 3, I was like, shit, why can't you just do one at, like, all in one hit?
Exactly. It's another one of these where I expected it to not be that important because it's this, you know, the variant of Loki. It's not the right timeline because it is the one where they tried to get the Tesseract and then he disappears off. So I thought, oh, great. They can just do what they like with this. They can play around with it, you know, because it's its own universe. But, you know, as you're getting through it, it became more apparent that, no, this is really important. Like, actually, you really need to have watched this now to appreciate pretty much anything else that's to come in the actual cinematic side of things. You know, it's huge. It sets up literally the entire next few phases.
It's massive.
Like, this is something that I know. I'm sure people have probably watched it by now. Something is probably better to not spoil. But if you've seen it and you don't understand who the character was that was pulling all the strings, you need to Google it and have a read, because it will really fill you in on what is to come, and why it's a pretty big deal. And you know, I think a lot of people were sat thinking, like, where do they go from Thanos? Like, that whole thing, like killing half the universe, That's pretty much. I mean, how do you go bigger and better than that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Whereas, that's, isn't it? Unless they brought in Galactus, I was like, how are they going to beat?
But even then, Galactus. I know it wasn't MCU, but they brought Galactus into the second Fantastic Four, into the Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Don't lie, there was never a second Fantastic Four film, man.
I don't care what you say. I like him. I don't love him. I like them. They're kind of cheesy. They were as good as you were going to get back then. And when you compare to F4 that was out a few years back, they were masterpieces, because that film was worse than Space Jam, the new, whatever it's called, New Legacy. But anyway, yeah, they brought him in, and it wasn't really that big a deal. So to then take that one character and make him this huge big bad that's going to overarch the entire next, who knows, 1, 2, 3 phases. I don't know, just didn't feel like that was going to be a big deal enough. But what they hint at in Loki makes a lot of sense.
It does, and I must admit, I was a bit like, it's him, really, because I knew of him, but I didn't really know that much, so I had to do like a little bit. But the way they portrayed him, I was like, that's like a really interesting choice for the big bad. And then I'm like, actually, you know what? He's very so clever.
He's not really much of a big deal in Loki. That version of the character, that variant,
variant of it. This is what you got to think about. But I thought it was done very well. The only thing I didn't like was, and this is going to sound really bad, but the fact that they teased season 2 as the post credits. Yeah, that's the only thing that was like,
broke the fourth wall, didn't it?
Because it's just like it was one of those, like, I really enjoyed it, and if that's how they're like, that's how we set up phase 4 onwards, perfect.
Yeah.
But then, like, I know we all want Loki and more stuff because everyone loves Loki so much, but yeah, season 2, I'm just like, I like the fact they were all just by themselves. Like, we're probably not going to get another WandaVision. I didn't think we were going to get like another Loki coming through. Like, I liked the fact that these are just separate little things to tide you over, to fill you in. Like, I love how this has got so big now. It's affected everything in the MCU, and this is how it, like, the catalyst for it coming through. And it's great, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just seems a bit like, are
you saying you don't like that there's going to be a season 2, or the way teased it? I mean, both, I suppose.
I think both, really, because at least don't keep us waiting, because we've got that much Marvel stuff to come on, and then randomly at some point be like, because now, like, well, you can just change stuff in season 2 now, or you can just do this in season 2. How much of it's going to be in the MCU now, and how much of it is going to be sort of like sidelined to Loki season 2?
True. It almost feels like, I mean, if there's going to be another season or something, it's probably going to be in the next year or two. And that does then feel that it's like it's too quick, I suppose, because we're so used to, while we might have 2 or 3 films in the MCU a year, at least it's, it's probably 3 or 4 years between each sequel.
Yeah.
At least, And
so, like, we know he's showing up in Ant-Man and Wasp, don't we? Anyway, Quantumania, like that was, we all thought was going to be his initial thing, because he's come out and said, yeah, I'm in this.
Yeah, well, that's it. I saw an interesting theory, and that is that the TVA is in the quantum realm, because in Ant-Man and the Wasp, when they're in the quantum realm, you see this sort of city in the background, and someone was saying that I reckon that is the TVA, because he says, I think one Thingy's mom, Michelle Pfeiffer's character in Ant-Man and Wasp, says time moves differently here in the quantum realm, and that's exactly what Owen Wilson's character says when he's talking about the TVA. Right, so it would make perfect sense if that's where they were. So again, that would explain how Quantum Mania would then tie in there as well.
Yeah, so that is.
Makes sense, I think. But yeah, I mean, I like the character, so it's one of those things that I'm happy that there's going to be more. But yeah, when you look at it as a whole, I'm curious how I don't know how it's gonna continue and not, it's almost gonna take stuff from the movies.
Yeah,
stuff that probably should be resolved on a bigger scale, maybe.
That's my issue I'm going to have with it.
Yeah,
I think because it's like how you're going to keep it entertaining enough to not have to take stuff away from the MCU, but at the same time, how do you bring in the people that are dying for it to bring it back? So it's going to be an interesting one. I would have preferred to start going through like phase 4, and then at some point just do like the post credit for season 4 and one of the films to just tease something's going to happen in season 2 of Loki.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would have been a better way.
It would be nice to see it the other way around, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, almost legitimizes the TV stuff more. Not that it necessarily needs to, but the thing that bugged me more was that they teased. I was looking forward to an post credit scene, as they always do, and then when it was that. And it was like, I mean, that's not a post-credit scene. It made it look like it, but then it's, that was the producers going, hey, there's going to be another series. Like in season 2 of The Mandalorian, it finishes and says, just writing on a black screen, Boba Fett will return in Book of Fett. But this, because it wasn't just a bit of text on the screen. It was, here we're at the TVA and here's a file and then stamp, and it was Loki will return in season 2. I was really in that moment I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah,
that felt like such a waste and a bit of a cop out. I was really disappointed, but yeah, I don't know. I'm happy to see more, and I trust that they'll do it right, but I know exactly what you mean. It is a bit worrying, I guess. And without going much into Black Widow, the post-credit scene in that really sets up some other stuff as well nicely. Stuff that was already. Well, have you heard?
I was reading an article on the thing that I'm going to talk about next week anyway, because we definitely don't have enough time to talk about what I've bought into. But yeah, I was just happily reading comments and going like, oh yeah, maybe I should go for this one. Oh, maybe that one. And then someone was like, bam, by the way, Taskmaster, bam, by the way, this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's 2 things spoiled in the Black Widow movie for them.
Okay, fair
Excellent.
enough.
But yeah.
Well, I remember hearing when Falcon and Winter Soldier was out that they were saying there's a character in that was supposed to get introduced in Black Widow before they got introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but obviously because COVID turned everything on its head, they got swapped around on the schedule. So it was interesting because I'd completely forgotten about that until the ending, until the post-credit scene. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that person was going to be in it, and sort of hints at what's to come, which is interesting. But anyway, yeah, fair enough. So, but without going into it, you've pre-ordered a Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Cool. All right, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, but like I say, I want to actually chat about that. So we'll chat about that next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, they do look quite good.
Yeah, it was one of those impulse things, but again, we'll talk about that, how it came about and everything. It's quite an amusing story.
Fair. Rightio. Thank you very much for listening. That was I found that quite an entertaining pod, Reg.
I did, and it turns out I didn't need that 100 things that I needed to talk about.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've still got a few tabs of things open here that I'll just save. I'll keep them open for next time.
Indeed.
Right. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me. Doodles.
Cheese.
Don't do that.